Welcome to 90s Slam. With the Olympics in full swing, it's got me thinking about international basketball, and I wanted to take a minute to talk about one of the greatest international teams of all time. No, not the Dream Team. I wouldn't have said one of the greatest teams. I'm talking about their immediate successor, the Dream Team 2. In 1994, USA Basketball was gearing up for the FIBA World Championships being held in Toronto. MJ, Magic, and Larry had retired, and a new brand of basketball was taking hold in the NBA. The people in charge of forming the roster knew that, and they wanted to capitalize. They were going to build a roster that featured none of the original Dream Teamers. The international basketball community had gotten a taste of the NBA in 1992, but this new roster was full of players who brought a whole new swagger to the game. Veterans like Dominique Wilkins, Mark Price, and Joe Dumars were joined by some of the most exciting new players in the league that year. New faces like Shaquille O'Neal, Alonzo Mourning, Shawn Kemp, Larry Johnson, who you might remember from Space Jam. Not that one. That one. Reggie Miller, who just made a big name for himself in the playoffs against the Knicks. Kevin Johnson, Steve Smith, Derek Coleman, and Dan Marley rounded out the roster for new coach Don Nelson. This young core brought a whole new idea of what domination should look like. It was definitely a new team, but they had the same lofty expectations as their predecessors, and they did not disappoint. In the first game of the tournament, they only won by 15 points, and they took some heat for that, so they stepped it up the rest of the way and cruised to a gold medal, with victories over China, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Australia, Greece, Russia, and Russia again in the final, this time demolishing them by 46 points. No disrespect to those teams, they were really good, but the players on the team said their stiffest competition oftentimes came in practice. Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning beat each other up. Larry Johnson and Derek Coleman were bruisers, and they wanted to settle some scores on the practice court. Shooters like Reggie Miller, Dan Marley, and Mark Price felt like the international three-point line was too close, so their personal competitions often saw them stepping as far back as half court to see who had the greatest range. Shaquille O'Neal was the tournament MVP, and coach Don Nelson spoke very highly of his leadership abilities, citing his willingness to come off the bench so that he could share the load with his teammates, and his use of Shaq Fu to keep the attitude relaxed. Though the US dominated in the tournament, the international community was catching up. Croatia won a bronze medal, being led by stars like Toni Kukoc and Dino Radja, who had both entered the league the year before and brought some of that NBA experience to the tournament. It would only be a matter of time before the rest of the world caught up, but for now, Team USA was the dominant force in basketball, and those young players had earned the right to strut. This episode talked about the FIBA International Tournament, but I know we've got the Olympics going on, so our next episode is definitely going to focus on that. So listen in on Thursday. We have a really exciting guest coming up. You won't want to miss it. Thanks so much for watching. This has been 90s Slam.